Welcome back, students. Today we are going to discuss Unit 4, Part 1, that is Organism and Environment. Before I start the main content, I would like to inform that the images used in our slides are for education purpose only. We respect intellectual property right of the original creator and owner of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this PPT, have any concern, any issue, please contact us at sathee@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. In this particular video lecture, we are mainly discussing about ecosystem. Okay, ecosystem interaction between biotic, abiotic component, major ecosystem, man-made ecosystem, agro ecosystem, biosphere, flow of energy, trapping of solar energy, energy pathway, food chain, and food web. Okay, so these are the main topics which we are going to discuss. Okay, so first of all, ecosystem. Okay, so an ecosystem, this is the definition of ecosystem. An ecosystem is a functional unit of nature with interaction between organisms and their physical environment. Okay, so an ecosystem is a functional unit of nature in which organism and environment interact with each other. Okay, interaction occur between organism and their physical environment. Okay, and the size of ecosystem range from a small pond to a large forest, or we can say sea. They all are different kind of ecosystem. A small pond is also a type of ecosystem, and a large forest or various sea in which so many type of zooplanktons, phytoplanktons and fishes are there for their need and for their survival purpose. So it can range from a small pond to large forest or sea. Okay, and the biosphere. This biosphere is considered a global ecosystem. We can say biosphere, a global ecosystem by some ecologists, combining all local ecosystem. Means it in this global ecosystem, all type of ecosystem, means terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, small ecosystem, big ecosystem, all are sum up. Okay, so that's why some ecologists define this biosphere also as a global ecosystem in which all local ecosystem combine together. Okay, and interact with each other. Okay, so right now you have to learn this definition. Ecosystem, it is a functional unit of nature, right, in which interaction occur between organisms with their physical environment. Range from a small unit to bigger unit, means a small pond to ocean or sea level. Okay, now, so to study this complex system, this complex ecosystem, we can divide it into various type of ecosystem. Like first one is terrestrial ecosystem. Okay, in which forest, grassland, deserts, all these are the examples of terrestrial ecosystem. Second one, aquatic ecosystem, in which different kind of ponds, lake, river, wetland, different sanctuaries, these are the examples of aquatic ecosystem. And the third one is man-made ecosystem. Okay, man-made ecosystem, which include crop field and aquarium. Okay, crop field and aquarium. As these two type of category is maintained by man. Okay, so three type of ecosystem: terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, and man-made ecosystem. Okay, these are the examples. As you can see, this is a water body. Okay, so here are some kind of microbes, zooplankton, phytoplankton, some small animals, crustaceans, fishes are there. So this small water body can act as a aquatic ecosystem. Similarly here, in which so many type of grasses, shrub, trees are there, right? Some agriculture land are also there, some water bodies are also there, mountains are there, different kind of organisms are present over here, small to big one. So this type of ecosystem comes under terrestrial ecosystem, right? While this agricultural land, this comes under man-made ecosystem. Clear? Okay. So ecosystem studies mainly focus on the structure of that ecosystem, productivity of that ecosystem, energy transfer through various food chain, food web or nutrient cycle, and degradation and loss of energy. Energy loss also occur from one trophic level to another trophic level. When we move from one trophic level to second trophic level and then third trophic level, energy loss occur. Okay, so this ecosystem study is mainly focusing on the structure of that ecosystem, productivity of that particular ecosystem, energy transfer, degradation and energy loss, right? Energy flow between various food chain or food web. Okay, different type of cycles. Similarly, nutrient cycle. Okay, chain, food web. So energy flow from one level to another level. So these are the main points in which ecosystem study mainly focusing on, right? So ecosystem structure and function. So let's discuss the components of ecosystem. Components are of two types, abiotic and biotic. Okay, so abiotic and biotic interaction form a characteristic physical structure. Okay, and species composition identified by the counting of plant, counting of animal species. Abiotic factors means non-living factor, biotic factor means living factor. Okay, these two factors interact to each other. Okay, and there are certain kind of species present type of ecosystem. So identification of those species, whether it belong to plant or it belong to animal species. And third is stratification, means vertical distribution of species. Vertical distribution of species, like as you can see in this particular picture, on the top trees are present. Okay, in the middle region, some kind this is the middle region, some kind of herb or shrub are there, and on the bottom some kind of grasses are there. Okay, so this is again a component of and effect to each other of this particular ecosystem. So what are the component? Different kind of factor, biotic factor, abiotic factor, different type of species present in that particular ecosystem, and vertical distribution of species, that is known as stratification. Okay, now functioning aspect of a ecosystem. Functioning aspect means productivity. This is means creation of organic material. Obviously it is mainly plant material is mainly responsible for the creation of organic material, right? And for decomposition purpose, some kind of microbes, fungus, bacteria are mainly responsible, and decomposition means breakdown of the organic material. Okay, so productivity involves creation of organic material, while decomposition contains breakdown of organic material. Okay, third is energy flow, means movement of energy through the ecosystem is another functioning aspect of an ecosystem. And the nutrient cycle, means recycling of a nutrient from one phase to another. Okay, so these are the functioning aspect of any ecosystem. Now let's discuss an example as a pond as a ecosystem, and pond comes under aquatic ecosystem category, right? So pond as a aquatic ecosystem. So here abiotic components are some kind of soil, some dissolved nutrients, right? dissolved elements, they are comes under abiotic component category, and water as well. Okay, so water with dissolved substance and rich soil comes under abiotic component category. Okay, then regulation, solar input, sunlight, temperature, cycle, okay, day length and climate. These are some factors which mainly responsible to regulate this particular ecosystem, pond ecosystem. Okay, then autotrophs. Autotrophs contain some kind of phytoplankton present in this particular ecosystem, algae, floating plants, submerged plant, marginal plants. Okay, these are under autotrophs category. Okay, consumer category. In consumer category, these are the certain kind of animals. Initiate from the zooplankton, tiny one. So zooplankton comes under consumer category. Then free swimming or bottle dwelling organism. Okay, these are comes under consumer category. And then decomposers. Obviously, different kind of bacteria, fungus, flagellates. These are the male microorganisms comes under decomposer category, and these are present on the pond's bottom size here. Okay. Now, process. So, conversion of inorganic component to organic one by autotrophs, means plants using sunlight. Okay. So conversion of inorganic component to organic component by autotrophs using sunlight, and consumption of autotrophs by heterotrophs further, means plant mainly produce a kind of food, okay, and then that plant is also consumed by other heterotrophs. So consumption of autotrophs means plants by heterotrophs. Clear? And then decomposition is the next step. First step is the production of food via autotroph, okay, in which conversion of inorganic component into organic matter occur, and this process occur during in the presence of sunlight, right? And then consumption of this autotrophs. This is the second process. And third is the decomposition of heterotrophs after certain time, okay, and mineralization of dead material releasing nutrients. Okay, this is the third process. Clear? And then unidirectional flow of energy from higher trophic level to next level, and dissipation as a remaining dissipation as a heat, because from one trophic level to another trophic level only 10% energy is transferred, remaining is lost as a heat. Clear? So this is the process. Now let's discuss the productivity. So as you know that solar energy is essential for any ecosystem to function and to sustain, because this is the only source of energy, solar energy. Okay, and the amount of biomass or organic matter produced by plant during photosynthesis is known as primary production. Primary production. What is primary production? Amount of biomass or organic matter produced by plant during photosynthesis is known as primary production. Okay, and it is expressed as gram per meter square, or in energy we can also use the term kilocalorie per meter square. Okay, and the rate of biomass production, is called productivity. Amount is known as primary production, okay, and amount is expressed as a weight, okay, but rate is known as productivity. Rate of biomass production is called productivity, and it is measured in gram per meter square per year, or in energy form kilocalorie per meter square per year. Okay. Now productivity, we can classify productivity into two different categories. First is primary productivity, second is secondary productivity. Secondary productivity we can further classify it into two different categories: net primary productivity and gross primary productivity. NPP, net primary productivity, and gross primary productivity. So let's discuss this. So what is primary productivity? So in primary productivity, this one is produced by the plant, right? So the gross one. So gross primary productivity means total production of organic material during photosynthesis. Okay, total production of organic matter during photosynthesis. As you can see, this is a sunlight, and in the presence of sunlight, this plant is able to produce some kind of food, some kind of organic material, and that is known as gross primary productivity. Okay, and some energy is utilized by the plant for its own cellular function. Okay, for its own cellular cellular function, while remaining it can stored as a biomass. Okay, so if we want to analyze what is the net primary productivity, so from this gross primary productivity, we have to subtract those amount of energy which is already utilized by the plant. Okay, so this is how we can analyze or we can solve this kind of question. What is the net primary productivity of that plant, or what is the gross primary productivity? So gross primary productivity minus R is equal to net primary productivity. Is this clear? Gross primary productivity means total production of organic material by this plant, while net primary productivity, biomass which is available for heterotrophs. Heterotrophs may be herbivore or decomposer or whatever, means the remaining biomass, because some amount of the energy is already utilized by the plant for its own growth, for its own cellular function. Okay, so this is how we can analyze the gross primary productivity. GPP minus R is equal to, R means loss of energy, is equal to net primary productivity. Now secondary productivity, rate of the formation of new organic material by the consumers. Rate of the formation of new organic material by the consumers. Okay, so what are the influencing factor? Type of plant species, certain kind of environmental factors, nutrient available, photosynthetic capacity. Okay, and it can vary across ecosystem to ecosystem. Okay, now global productivity. Global productivity means annual net primary productivity of the biomass. At the globe level, if we want to analyze, then annual net primary productivity of the biosphere. This is about 170 billion ton dry weight of an organic matter. 170 billion ton throughout globe collectively. Okay, and in throughout globe, ocean, which contains 70% part of the blood, our earth surface. Okay, ocean is present 70% part of our earth, right? And this ocean contributes 55 billion tons of organic matter production. It mainly involved for the production of 55 billion ton biomass, and rest remaining is from land area. And these are the data. Sometimes question asks based on these data. Okay. Now let's discuss the decomposition. Decomposition means breakdown of complex organic matter into inorganic substance like carbon dioxide, water, or nutrients. This is known as decomposition. And one of the very good example is earthworm. Earthworm is a very good example of a decomposer which actually help in soil loosening and organic matter breakdown purpose. Vermicompost contains so many earthworms. Okay, that's why, because it enhances the fertility also. Why? How? They convert organic component into inorganic one. Okay, next is detritus. What is detritus? Detritus consists of dead plant bodies. dead plant remains like dead leaf, bark, flower, okay, and animal remains also including fecal material, okay, dead or decaying part of leaf, bark and flower of plant and fecal material of animal. It serves as a raw material for decomposers. Okay. So what are the steps involved in decomposition? First step is fragmentation, in which detrivorous like earthworm break down detritus, means dead or decaying particle of plant or animal, into a small particle. Then leaching. Second one is leaching, in which water soluble inorganic nutrient seep into the soil and precipitated as a salt. And then catabolism. Third step is catabolism, in which certain kind of bacteria and fungus involved, and they actually degrade this detritus into inorganic substance using their enzymatic activity. Okay, because they are having certain kind of enzyme which help to degrade detritus into simple inorganic substance. So first one is fragmentation, breakdown of bigger particle to a small particle. Then leaching, means water soluble inorganic nutrients seep into the soil, and then enzymatic activity, they convert it into a simple inorganic substance. Then fourth one is the humidification, means accumulation of humus. Humus is a dark, nutrient rich material which is slowly decomposed by this bacterial and fungus strains. Okay, so fourth one is humidification, and the fifth one is the mineralization, means further degradation of this humus by microbes, as I said, with the help of fungus or bacteria. It convert into inorganic nutrients, releasing of inorganic material nutrients occur. Okay, so these are the steps, means first step, this is the green leaf, as you can see, fall into the ground. So here, this one is considered as a detritus. Okay, some green leaf can be eaten by the insect or animal, or otherwise start degrading by the earthworm or a small other fragmentation or leaching process. Okay, so first step, then second step, then third step, then fourth step, and the fifth step. Okay, some nutrient, this one is first utilized by small microbe or small animal. So some nutrient leach into the soil by chemical action, and this time soil is rich in organic material. Okay, and this leaf is partially consumed by the decomposer such as fungus, bacteria, and they begin to lose form and become converted into a simplest form. Okay, so these are the steps. For our first step, fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and then mineralization. Now, process characterization of decomposition. Decomposition is a oxygen dependent process, first of all. Then this process is controlled by detritus, chemical composition, and the climatic condition of that area. Okay, detritus chemical composition, whether that decayed or detritus material contain more amount, contain pectin, lignin type of material, or it is a simple material like contains nitrogen or carbon rich. So it depends upon that factor, what is the composition, chemical composition of that particular detritus material. Okay, and the climatic condition, hot and warm or moist, then processes faster, right? If climate is cold, then processes slow. So first of all, process characterization, this particular decomposition is a oxygen dependent process, and this is controlled by detritus chemical composition and climatic factor. Yes, it is written over here. Slower decomposition occur if that particular detritus is rich in lignin and chitin. Okay, and it is fast if detritus is rich in nitrogen and water soluble substance. Okay, so now climatic factors like temperature and soil moisture are the crucial factor. Okay, because most of the organisms mainly fungus is active in warm and moist environment. Okay, so and if warm and moist environment is there, then fungal strain are more active. Then they start this decomposition activity in a faster way. Okay, that's why fast and moist environment favor decomposition. Okay, low temperature, anaerobic conditions. These, if factors are like this, temperature is low, condition are anaerobic, means oxygen is not present up to the mark, then this will slow down the process, slow down decomposition process, causing organic material build up in that particular area. So these are the factors mainly influence the decomposition. Now energy flow. As you know, sun is a primary source of energy for any kind of ecosystem except deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem. This is the exception, because at the this much of you know um, deep area, sunlight is not able to penetrate. Okay, so at this deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem, sun is not only the primary source of energy. Remaining sun is the primary source of energy, and less than 50% of solar radiation is photosynthetically active radiation. Less than 50% of solar radiation is photosynthetically active radiation, and out of this, plant capture only 2 to 10% of photosynthetically active radiation, which is required for sustaining all life forms. Only 2 to 10%. Okay, as you can see in this picture, energy flow from sunlight to plant. They utilize sunlight for photosynthesis purpose. Okay, and convert this sunlight or energy into glucose. Okay, and then further utilization of this glucose occur at various level inside the cell, in glycolysis, in electron transport, in Krebs cycle, for the production of energy, ATP. Okay, for their own metabolic activity, right? So this is the this flow chart. You can see this flow chart and how energy flow from sunlight to various level of plant or animal. If that plant is consumed by the animal, then again food or that plant material is converted into glucose or fructose, and then further utilized for the for in various step of glycolysis, electron transport chain, and oxidative phosphorylation for the production of energy, if whenever it require, right? So energy flow from the sunlight to other levels. So energy capture and flow. Plants and photosynthetic bacteria, which we can say autotrophs, convert solar energy into food, right? And energy flow is unidirectional from sun to producer, means plant, and then to the consumer. And this unidirectional flow align with the first law of thermodynamics, right? Now producer and consumers. Producer, green plant act as a producer in terrestrial ecosystem, right? Phytoplankton act as a producer in aquatic ecosystem. Similarly, algae also act as a producer in aquatic ecosystem. Consumers, organism, that all kind of organism that depends upon the producer for their food. Okay, as you can see in this picture, this grass is act as a producer. Okay, and these are the primary consumer. Okay, this is the secondary consumer, and this is the tertiary consumer. Okay, so primary consumer, herbivores, all kind of herbivores like insects, birds, mammal, mollusks. Secondary consumer contains carnivore that eat herbivore, and tertiary consumer, carnivore that eat other carnivore. Like here, this eagle is act as a tertiary consumer because it can eat this bird. Okay. Now, food chain and web. Energy flow through grazing food chain, and detritivous food chain. Energy can flow through two different type of food chain. First one is grazing food chain and then detritivous food chain. Grazing food chain start with the producer, as you can see over here. This energy is utilized by the plant which comes from the sunlight. Okay, so this grazing food chain starts with the producer, and this plant is consumed by herbivores, and these herbivores further consumed by secondary consumer, and then finally tertiary consumer. Okay, so but this grazing food chain starts with the producer and move to herbivore and then other carnivore, as you can see in this particular picture. Similarly, this detritus food chain began with the dead material. This dead material or waste material. It starts with the dead material, which further degraded by various fungus and bacteria. Right. So this is a detritus food chain, but energy flow from one level to another level. Okay, and interconnected food chains form food web. When two or three food chains are there and they are interconnected with each other, that time we can use the term food web for the same, in which interconnected food chains are there. Okay. Now, trophic level. Organisms occupy specific level based on their feeding relationship. First trophic level, producer. This is the first trophic level. Okay, in which producers, all the kind of producers means plants are there. Second trophic level, all kind of herbivores are there, which is also known as primary consumer. Okay, third trophic level, carnivore. Okay, which utilize primary consumer as a food. Okay, so from one level to another level to primary producer to primary consumer to secondary consumer, secondary to tertiary. You can see only 10% of the energy is transferred from one level to another level. Remaining energy is lost as a heat to the environment. Okay, so these are the levels. Okay, energy decrease at each successive level of trophic level, and biomass at each level is called standing crop. What is the right term for the biomass at each level? Standing crop. And it is measured by fresh or dry weight. As you can see in this particular picture, biomass of this primary consumer is less than primary producer. Okay, similarly this biomass of secondary consumer is less than primary consumer, right? Now, energy transfer efficiency. Only 10% of energy is transferred to each trophic level, and this is known as 10% low. Okay, only 10% is transferred, remaining is released as a heat. As you can see, 10% from producer to primary consumer to secondary to tertiary. Okay, it limits the number of trophic level in the food chain, and detritus food chain are more significant in terrestrial ecosystem. While detritus food chain DFC are more significant in terrestrial ecosystem, while this grazing food chain or GFC are major energy conduct in aquatic ecosystem. Clear? Now let's discuss different kind of pyramids, ecological pyramid. Their shape and structure. Pyramid have a broad base and narrow apex generally. Okay, and it representing food, energy, food relationship or their energy relationship at different trophic level. The base represent the producer, or we can say first trophic level term, and the apex represent tertiary or top level of consumer, right? So pyramids are of various type: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. Okay, now first one is pyramid of number. As you can see, pyramid of number, It represents the number of organisms at each trophic level. And maximum number is present on the base, 10,000 freshwater shrimps, and then 1,000, and then 100, then 10, then 10. Okay, that's why it is upright pyramid. Okay, similarly, pyramid of biomass and pyramid of biomass of organism at each trophic level. As you can see, producer number of producer is more, tree, grasses, flowering plant, crop. Number of primary total biomass of primary consumer is less than the producer. Total biomass of secondary consumer is less than the primary, and then so on. So pyramid of biomass is decreased when we move from bottom to upper side. It moves, and it is also in a upright position. Third one is pyramid of energy, and it represent energy content at each level. This is the producer, and only 10% energy is transferred to the next level, remaining is lost as a heat. Primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then the tertiary consumer. Okay, what is the common pattern in all these type of pyramid? Number, biomass, and energy. These are upright. Okay, with more producer than herbivore, more herbivore than carnivore. So this is the common pattern. And energy, pyramid of energy is always higher at lower trophic level. Okay, but there are certain exceptions like pyramid of number. It can be inverted. It can be inverted if a large tree, see, this is a large tree. If this large tree support many insect or many bird. Okay, so at the bottom, only a single tree. Okay, while number of that insect or bird are more. Okay, so pyramid of number can be inverted in case of this specific example, as we have discussed just now. A large tree can support many insects. Okay, that's why pyramid of number can be inverted. Okay, second example, pyramid of biomass. It can be inverted in the case of aquatic ecosystem, as fish biomass exceed phytoplankton biomass. A single fish is having more biomass, 1,000, 10,000, how many phytoplankton is there, but if it cannot exceed in biomass if we compare it with a fish. Okay, so pyramid of biomass, pyramid of number can be inverted in some cases, like this is the example for tree. A large tree can support many insects, and aquatic ecosystem fish biomass exceed phytoplankton biomass. This is the second example. Okay, but all energy biomass is always, and not biomass, energy pyramid always upright. Energy decrease with each trophic level because of remaining only 10% is transferred from one level to another level, but maximum energy is present on the bottom side, primary producer level. Okay, each bar represent the energy present at each trophic level over a given time or annually per unit area. Limitations of ecological pyramid: do not account for species occupying multiple trophic level, assuming a simple food chain, okay, not complex food web, and it also omits saprophytes despite their critical role in ecosystem. So these are the limitations of ecological pyramid. First one, do not account for the species occupying at multiple trophic level. Maybe some species are present on both 2 or 3 trophic level. Okay, similarly, it assuming simple food chain, while 2 or 3 chain can be combined and form a food web. Okay, and it also omits saprophyte despite their critical role in ecosystem. So these are the limitations of ecological pyramid. So this is all about the ecosystem chapter. Okay, I hope most of the topics has been cleared now. Still you have any query, any doubt related to the topic, please let me know. We will discuss it later on. Till then, take care, bye bye, and keep learning. Namaskar.